What's up, everybody? I'm Matt here at Appalachian Moto, and this is an Amazon special. Yeah, I bought this off Amazon. I thought the same thing. This right here is a RPS Hawk 250. Now this thing was only $1,800, shipped straight to my house. Now, when this thing showed up, it was in a crate. It wasn't together or anything. So I had to assemble it myself. It was about 80% assembled, but I put the rest of the stuff back on it. Now, you had to put the steering or the handlebars on. You had to put the light, the front tire, the brakes. You had to put on all the fairings and the plastics. And it came with a stock carburetor. Now, I've heard people having trouble with these carburetors and not being able to really keep it idle or anything. But here at my elevation, it actually cranked up. It actually cranked up and it ran just fine. But we needed to adjust the valve lashing on this thing. It didn't have much clearance at all, and it needed it just to run better. So we took the top end off of it, and it was very easy to do. Very, very easy to do. So we adjusted the valve lashing, and we've got it down to, I think it's a point. Oh, I don't want to tell you right yet. We'll make another video on that just to make sure, because I don't want to tell you wrong. But anyways, yeah, so this thing was $1,800. And the reason why I bought it was I went to Honda looking for a dual sport. And I seen one online for it was a 300L, and it was for around $5,400. So I was interested in it. So I went down to the Honda dealership to look at it, and they told me they were all sold out. I couldn't get one unless I wanted to put a deposit on one. Well, I don't really want to put a deposit on one. I want to sit on it first. I want to see what it feels like. So I ended up looking and asking the lady, asked if they had any dirt bikes. And she said they have 250s. I said, well, are they regular, just dirt bikes? She said, yeah. I said, okay, well, I'm going to go take a look at them. And what took me back was the price of these things. I understand things have moved up a lot, but I guess the dealer markup on everything, this thing was nearly $8,000. Now, I get it. It's a Honda. It's Japanese. You're going to pay for what you get. I love a Honda. I love Yamaha. I love Kawasaki, Suzuki. I love it all. But for me to sit there and stomach to pay that much on something that I'm gonna kind of be rough with, I can't stomach it right off the bat. And that was just a dirt bike. That wasn't even a dual sport. So I got on Amazon and started looking. And I had heard from quite a few different places and actually YouTube itself. And I think Moto Cheese covered it and Moto Taco a lot. They're two pretty big names. But I had looked into these, and whenever I looked into it, I seen that it was only $1,800. $1,800 for some fun? That doesn't sound that bad. Now, some of the reviews and some people say it's Chinese. It's a piece of crap. Well, it is Chinese. A lot of things on here, we've had to under torque and Loctite everything. So that's that kind of deal. Everything on here needs Loctite. Everything. Anything that you come across, you Loctite it. I always put blue Loctite on most things. And whenever I go out and do a few rides, maybe about 100 miles or so, I'll come back and I always check. Just check everything. You can't never be too careful with things like that. So the thing is with this bike is it's air cooled. It is air cooled, and it does get hot. It does get very hot. As you see down here, I'll get a closer picture here in just a moment. I had to put some exhaust wrap around it. And that being I mean, it burnt my leg up. And I was riding around with shorts. I know you shouldn't ride around with shorts, but I was just testing it out. And in a matter of no time, my leg was red. The engine does get hot. Everything gets hot unless you keep continually going. That's the deal with these things. But check it out though. These engines are actually based off an old Honda. It's like the 70s CG engines, I think are what they're called. And these things are just, I mean, they're bulletproof, man. They're bulletproof. So far, I mean, I've cranked it up, did everything. I've rode it. I've let some of the boys ride it, some teenagers, and they've raised Cain on it. And everything's running good. Everything runs good on it. The kickstart, it's kind of lackluster. It's going to take a few times. I still haven't got it kick-started yet, but my electric start starts every time. It did almost kick-start the other day when I was trying, but I just get eventually tired of it and just don't even worry about it. Who cares? We got electronics right here. When it goes out, then we'll worry. But that's the thing also is a lot of these parts on this bike, you can get them straight off Amazon. Straight off Amazon. A lot of these parts are interchangeable. Anything that you really want to find, I mean, I see people customize these things. They hook stuff up to all the wiring, end up having their phone chargers and stuff here. It's the coolest thing. $1,800 and it's street worthy. Now, some people have problems getting them registered. Some people don't in their state. It all really depends. I haven't got mine registered yet. I do have it insured and stuff, but we're going to go get it registered and stuff here shortly, so we can ride it more on road. I have rode it a little bit on road, but not much because of that reason. I don't want to be illegal and I don't want to break the law. I will say though, the odometer is off. The odometer is completely off. It's so far it said I've went 2,053 miles or kilometers, whatever it is. I'm sure if anybody else knows, please comment. I ain't went 2,053 kilometers or miles. That's for certain. And whenever I can drive around the yard and it says I go 2 miles. And it's an old odometer. It's not a digital one. The DLX version has digital. This one does not. But yeah, let's get a little closer look up at everything. So this is the up close personal view of the Hawk. All right, all jokes aside. This right here, whenever it came shipped, you had to put on the handlebars. I think the brake lever had already came on it. I think I had to put the clutch on it, if I'm not mistaken. You definitely have to put all this stuff, like I said, the lights, the fairings, all that mess. The front wheel had to be put on. It needed the odometer sensor put in and the bearings, along with a lot of grease. I had to use some red tacky grease for it. Everything on here needs grease. Everything on here is dry, essentially. So, yeah, and I'm putting these things on here. I'm still not done. Anyways, so moving on. I had to put an exhaust wrap around it because this thing gets hot. As we talked about, this thing is air cooled. So it gets hot. It generates a lot of heat, especially when you're dogging it and going. And this thing, when I first got it, I was riding around with shorts. I know I shouldn't have had shorts, but I did. I wanted to ride it. And anyways, this thing kind of lit my leg up. And I noticed after that, even with pants, I could still kind of feel the heat. It wasn't bad, but I wanted to just kind of protect myself a little bit more. Eventually, I'll get a different exhaust and wrap it also. But this will suffice for right now. But as we're speaking, going back to the stock carb, this right here is the aftermarket I put on. The stock, it cranked just fine with it.
given it probably ran lean or rich. I'm not very too sure about it because I didn't give it much time. I wanted to get rid of it. The stock carb had a lot of play in the throttle. The throttle here, as you see, doesn't have much play. It's very little. And the stock one, actually, it had so much play that you almost had to turn the throttle halfways to even get it to where the throttle would start to open. So it was kind of annoying, and I just want to go ahead and switch that out. But this is the Nibby 28 millimeter. It's got the flanged head on it, as you see right there. Um, it wasn't very hard to install at all. I think it came with a 115 main jet. I'm not sure the pilot. I haven't messed with any of the other stuff. I did change the main jet the other day to a 110, and we're going to ride around for a little bit and see how that does. It was already running decent at the elevation I'm at, but it just kind of felt like it started to fall flat around 45, 50, even with the aftermarket sprockets. And maybe it's not falling flat. Maybe it's just me and I don't have enough road right yet. But I just wanted to go ahead and put a different main jet in it to see. Moving on, you had to put on the brake lever. As you see, all the mechanism that it comes with right here. It's very easy to assemble. None of it's hard. The kickstart, it's there, but it doesn't really serve any purpose for me right yet. I mean, I don't really get to use it. It doesn't really turn it over. It started to the other day, but it just doesn't seem like it puts enough oomph in it, like enough compression on it. I don't know. We'll look more into it later. I want to at least get it to work. Moving to the back side, you do need to grease, like I said, everything, your swing arm included, your bolts, all that mess. There is your shock, which is complete doo-doo. It is very soft. If you plan on riding hard trails, you will feel every bump. I've rode trails on it. I rode them pretty hard a little bit, and I felt it, but it wasn't too bad. But of course, this isn't a Japanese. This is a Honda. You definitely shouldn't be trying to race on this thing. I don't imagine anybody trying to race on it. But when it comes to jumping jumps or anything, you definitely wouldn't want to do that just because of the simple fact that this metal is cheap Chinese metal. The frame is cheap Chinese. Everything about it is cheap Chinese. And for my purposes and for anybody else's purpose, if you're just trying to get point A to point B and go exploring on some back roads, this thing is excellent for the price. But you're not going to be doing motocross stuff. You're not going to be jumping anything. As you see, it had pegs here, but I took the pegs off. I don't plan on riding doubles. Still haven't put all my little neon stuff up. But yeah, I've had to grease everything, the back end. I had to adjust the chain. You do need to get a new chain, but this one will do. When the chain come on it, when I got it, it was very tight, so I did have to adjust it. I did lose my tip, and my baffle eventually came out. I've emailed them to see if I can't get a new one replaced. I plan on getting rid of this thing a little bit. Just maybe tack something in my tailplate right there. But anyways, yeah, this is what she looks like. She's a good bike, man. Now, this is another problem, just like the other side, the brake lever. It's all cheap Chinese metal. So this right here, you'll probably end up bending it eventually. But the good thing about this bike, and not a lot of people end up saying stuff about it, and most people, including myself at first, was worried about it. You get worried about the fact that you're not going to be able to find parts for it, which, because it's a Chinese bike. But surprisingly enough, most stuff you can find on Amazon. Surprisingly enough, most stuff is on Amazon. You will need to, probably have to tinker with stuff, especially when it comes to metal things. You might have to fabricate something on your own, but I mean, for the most part, for $1,800, this is a good bike, y'all. You can't beat it. I plan on doing a lot more adventures. I plan on getting a little GoPro so we can go on some adventures. Be sure to hit that thumbs up, the like, all that stuff. Subscribe if you want to see more. We'll take you on some adventures up here in the Appalachian Mountains. Go cruise around on it. But yeah, let's give her a quick cold start, shall we? Here we go. She's on. There we go. She is a little loud. You can hear it. A lot of valve noise. But it is what it is. These bikes are known to be a little loud. That's okay though. I'm not sitting here riding this thing expecting it to be a Ducati. She's a good bike. All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate y'all if y'all stuck around the whole video. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff like I mentioned. If you want to see more, we'll take you on some adventures here soon.